I'm Dr. Lanisha Robinson, your host for Career and Technical Education, #Build a Future. Working in St. Lucie Public Schools with Career and Technical Education CTE department, we want to show what our teachers and students are doing in the classroom to close the skills gap in multiple fields. The students in these programs are earning entry certifications, which create more opportunities and options for all students after high school graduation. In this upcoming episode, you will meet Ms. Jenna Blakenbaker along with her student Zoe Tomaselli from Fort Pierce Westwood Academy, the West Prep Magnet School, and learn more about the Agriculture Academy. Welcome. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Jenna Blakenbaker, and I am the agriculture teacher and animal science teacher at Fort Pierce Westwood Academy and the FFA, one of the 3 FFA advisors.
Okay.
My name is Zoe Tomaselli, and I'm a student at the Fort Pierce Westwood, and I am the president of the Fort Pierce Westwood FFA chapter.
Okay, so welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So, Jenna, can you please tell us about the agriculture program? There are 3 tracks, correct?
Yes, there are 3 pathways. So the agriculture program in whole is kind of, depending on what kind of school you're going to and where you're going to school, will kind of dictate what pathways you can take. And at Fort Pierce Westwood Academy, we have 3 pathways that students can choose between. So the first is an animal science pathway. The second is a veterinarian assisting pathway. And then the third is, and which is brand new this year, is our agriculture mechanics pathway. So students start in 9th grade with agriculture foundations. And then from there, they can choose which pathway they want to specialize in for the remainder of their high school career.
Okay, so with ag mechanics being new, what can students expect, like let's say, to get out of that program?
So ag mechanics is very broad. It covers a little bit of everything from woodworking to welding, irrigation, plumbing, construction, basically anything you might see on a agricultural operation. And so they learn, small engines and how to operate and fix equipment and those kinds of hands-on skills that are necessary when going into an agricultural career.
Mm-hmm. Now, how is that program or that track different from what you actually offer?
So the pathway that I'm teaching is the animal science pathway. It's similar yet different. So the students are still getting hands-on experiences that will help them in a career or college, whatever they prefer to go. But everything is specialized towards specifically animal science. We cover, all types of animals, whether it's exotic animals or small animals, but we specialize in the livestock category. So equine, cattle, pigs, sheep, goats, that sort of thing. And so students, we have an animal science lab on campus as well as a barn. So students are able to get quite a few different hands-on experiences that they will get in a career in animal science, or kind of a basis for what they might want to go to in college.
Okay. Now, Zoe, which program are you a part of?
So I am a part of both the animal science and the ag mechanics.
Okay, so when you hear that this is brand new program for ag mechanics, why did you decide to join that route or go to that track as well?
So I decided to go to ag mechanics because even though the animal science would be more beneficial to my career path I want to go into, I really wanted to learn more about ag mechanics because it's an everyday thing that you can use. So just recently in ag mechanics, we fixed fans that we use at our pig barn. So we hands-on experience that we had fans all over our tables. We had to pick up our tools and actually fix the fans. And it's things like that it was only a $20 part that we saved $150 from buying a fan. So it's things like that when you learn that it can save you a lot of money in the future, and it's life skills that you should have.
Okay, so with you saying all that, that is amazing. But you have a very unique story because you're not actually zoned for Fort Pierce Westwood, right? You actually applied to come over. And what was your reason why you wanted to come to Fort Pierce Westwood?
So I wanted to come to Fort Pierce Westwood for the ag and FFA programs. I do live in Port St. Lucie. I'm not zoned for Westwood. I'm zoned for Centennial, I believe. And I was going to LPA for middle school. And LPA just wasn't working for me. I didn't really want to continue going there for high school. And I went to one of the attractor nights. And after going there, I realized how much that I would really love doing FFA and ag. And so with me loving horses, I really wanted to go and explore that route.
Okay. So when you say you have a love for horses and you're actually in this academy, what is your future and your career path? Like, you're in this for a reason. Why?
So I want to go to UF to study equine animal science, and then I want to become a horse breeder.
Okay. All right, which directly aligns to what you were being offered
Yes.
right there at Fort Pierce Westwood. So do you discover that a lot of your students, when they apply to come to Fort Pierce Westwood, that they have that passion behind it?
Right, yeah, definitely. Some of them are interested in a career in animal science or agriculture, and then some of them, it's more of like a hobby and interest in something they just enjoy doing. But either way, you know, it prepares them for their future career or college, and like Zoe was saying, life skills that you learn, like the ag mechanics class. So they're fixing the fans, like Zoe said, they're $150 fans. So learning how to be able to wire and change out parts, I mean, that can go into whatever career you're working in. So students, you know, are able to take maybe something that they want to do in the future and feed off of that, or just learn skills that can help them wherever they go in life. And then obviously agriculture and animal science, we all are consumers of agriculture. So whether or not they go into a career, they will definitely be buying food and clothes in the future. So that's all comes from animal agriculture.
And that's actually vital for students to understand that process, that it's not just about taking care of animals, or it's not about, you know, it's all about growth, like crops. It's all about farming. All of that is all inclusive, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So Zoe, when you hear that, I mean, how much, when you feel like that the activities that you're doing, the tasks that you're, all the tasks that you're given, being in two different tracks, how is that growing for? How is that going for you, and how is that growing with your mindset for the ag?
So with everything that the opportunities I've had and the things we've done, it has 100% completely changed me as a person. So especially through FFA, we do a lot of like public speaking and leadership things. So I just realized this the other day. We were going into our foundation classes as an officer group, and we are teaching them more about FFA. I realized if you were to tell me that as the little freshman self, I would have been scared out of my mind and like would have been shaking the whole time, stuttering on my words. But I walked into that class and I was like, I'm not scared. Like, I can do this, I'm prepared, and I'm ready to do this, and I'm ready to teach the younger generation more about agriculture.
Wow. So you're, like you had mentioned before, you're teaching your students life skills. You're teaching them those employability skills and actually stepping outside of their comfort zone and growing into those young adults that we hopefully will be running our future.
Yeah.
So with that being said, how do you make sure that, because I know you had mentioned FFA, so what exactly is FFA, and then what exactly does that stand for?
Okay. So FFA is a student-led agricultural organization, leadership organization. It is a intercurricular organization, so it is actually in our curriculum from the Department of Education to teach about. And then they can decide how involved they want to be outside of school. Of course, we always encourage them to be very involved because that's when they really get to like dive into their leadership skills. But we try to entwine that inside of our everyday curriculum as well. FFA originally stood for Future Farmers of America. They changed the name, and so nationally is now just the National FFA. Future Farmers of America makes you feel like you have to wear overalls and be a farmer to be a part of the group. And so the organization is very broad and diverse, and you don't have to be a farmer or come from farming or even been on a farm. There are so many different things that it can offer you. And so that's why they changed the name to just the National FFA organization.
Okay. So with, because again, excuse me, because you're talking about the changes that are going on into why they've had to make a change, adjustments, not only into a national organization. So how do you stay current and knowing what exactly your students need to learn? How did you know that we need to have an ag mechanic program at Fort Pierce Westwood? You know, what are you doing to stay current in the field? Are you bringing in industry partners or whatnot?
Yeah, we work a lot with different people in our industry, everything from local mechanics and welding shops to local veterinarians who work with livestock. We recently got some students certified in Okeechobee to artificially inseminate cattle. So we try to work with different industry partners in our local community. And then, you know, the more that we work with them, the more that we talk to them and learn about what kind of struggles they're having in finding maybe employees, or what kind of things that they wish that students would learn in high school and come to them knowing. So that's something that we've been working a lot on, is making sure that, you know, the students who want to enter the workforce or college and then eventually the workforce are prepared and actually have skills that are usable and can help them get a job in our local community, not something that, you know, they have to travel for. Of course you can, I mean, they can go anywhere and work in agriculture, but we want to try and specify it to the students who are here.
Mm-hmm. So Zoe, hearing that and knowing that and actually working with individuals that come from industry right there in your classroom, how do you feel like that's a great way for students to network, and also having students to not only, like you were mentioning, going to UF, is that something that you say, hey, I would definitely want to move back to St. Lucie County?
So it's definitely working with other people in the workforce. It definitely gives you those career connections to where you come out of high school, you come out of college, and you can, like, you may have a phone number and you're like, hey, I'm gonna go call this person, maybe I can get a job. Or we can even, a lot of Blakenbaker students have, like, still have her number, still stay in contact. And so we can even get information from her even out of high school, to where we can, like, you have those career connections to where afterwards you can go, hey, you know, maybe I should go, you know, shadow this person for a week. Maybe I should, let me call up this person and see if they need help on the farm. You just get all of those connections. And then also it's all hands-on experiences that you definitely will use later in life.
Okay, excellent. So for Career and Technical Education, one of the initiatives for all things career and technical education, you know, especially for our county, our district, is that we want to have students to be able to start learning about career preparation, career opportunities while they're at the middle school level, and then transition to high school. And then after high school, have that career pathway to either go to a post-secondary education institution or go straight to work, right? Or go to the workforce. Mm-hmm. So what are you all doing? What is your connection to the middle school level to make sure that that pathway is being completed?
So a few years ago, we had something really exciting happen, which was our first middle school agriculture program at Allapattah Flats. So 6th through 8th grade, they have an agriculture program there now. So students start learning in 6th grade about agriculture and the different careers in ag and the different industries involved. And so then the idea is that they will flow into Westwood as well, and so they kind of start early. But beyond that, we also have done have some things planned this year, and we've done some things in the past where we've worked both in middle schools and elementary schools that naturally feed into us. Allapattah is a little bit farther away, and to try and do agricultural lessons with the students, learning about maybe being a wise consumer, because a lot of students, like I said, are not necessarily growing up on a farm, but they are all consumers. And so teaching them lessons about how to be wise consumers and where their food comes from and where their clothes come from and how they can make educated decisions and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. So basically you're saying that, yes, we have an ag program at the middle school level that will funnel right into the ag program at Fort Pierce Westwood.
Yes.
But for those students who are not in ag right now, you're actually working with them and you're partnering with other schools. So give me some examples of what some of your students actually go to those campuses, right?
Yeah, so I've had students go to those campuses and they come up, create their own agriculture lessons and teach them to the students. And then something we started 2 years ago too was an ag summer camp. So it started not this summer, but the summer before with just middle school students, and any middle school student was allowed to come. We had students from all over the district, and we spent one day doing things down at the ag barn and animal science area, and then one day at the vet assisting area in the lab there. And so students were able to do hands-on activities and learn about things that they would if they were a student in just a mini version of it. And so it went really well. So this year we added on to it. We did middle school and elementary school students, and we had really great feedback that the kids really enjoyed it. A lot of kids were really excited to potentially be able to come to Westwood to be a student in the future. So it worked out really well.
Wow. So Zoe, were you part of that as well?
So I was part of the first year we did it. I was there. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go this year due to a horse event. But seeing the first year, I know the stations that I was at was the equine station for animal science. And so we taught the kids different terminology for the horses. They even got to paint. We had live horses there. They got to paint them. We taught them kind of different parts, the different terminology. And then for animal science, I was there teaching how diseases transfer throughout herds and throughout the cattle in the herds. And we taught them through a color changing activity. So they got to kind of pour different liquids into cups, and they saw how the liquid kind of changes the color and how it spreads throughout the herd.
Okay. So what kind of things, if we were to shadow you, right, in one of your classes, especially like one of your ag classes, what kind of things will we expect to see? And then Ms. Blakenbaker, you can also chime in as well.
So one of the things that you would expect to see is that we teach you something and then we go do a hands-on experience. So especially in our foundation classes, we're big on that. I know right now they're learning about swine. So they get to take notes on the different breeds of swine. They learn how to identify them, and then they go out to our swine barn, and then they have to identify which pig is what type of breed. So we focus on learning and then using that knowledge to as an actual life skill.
Definitely. The idea is that we learn in the classroom and then get to do it in the real world. And so luckily we have the facilities that we're able to do those things in. So like Zoe was saying, right now we're in a swine unit. So we're learning about different pig breeds and how to, husbandry of pigs and such. And so we're learning all about it in class, and then we have 10 pigs on campus. So we're able to go out there and actually do it in the real world. And so that's really exciting. Like, it gets kids more excited, involved, and then also you can only learn so much by hearing it and seeing pictures. Being able to physically do it, it helps kind of cement it in and understand it.
Okay. Now, you also have students who are interns, volunteers. Now, why is that important? And can you also give us some examples of what your students are able to do?
So there is so I guess backing up, in an agriculture program, this is nationwide, there is a 3-circle model that every program tries to follow. All circles are supposed to be equally sized and spread out, and they all overlap. So the first one is classroom instruction, which is what we do either in the lab, the barn, the classroom, and whatever. So then the second one is FFA, which is that leadership component. And then the third one is SAE, which stands for Supervised Agricultural Experience. And that's kind of where the students get to take their information that they learn in the classroom, their leadership skills, and apply it in the real world. So there are different categories of SAEs that the students can do. There is agri-science research, so they can complete agri-science research projects. There's entrepreneurship, where students are starting their own businesses in agriculture, and I have several students doing that this year and previous years. There's also a placement one where they either are volunteering or working for different businesses or industries involved in agriculture somehow, and that's those SAEs and those experiences are what allowing students to take what they learn in the classroom, apply it in the real world, and kind of take it the next step, as well as make connections for them deciding what they want to do.
Okay. So with ag, it's also, you had mentioned, it's ever changing. You have to kind of keep up with what's going on right now. So from, let's say, a few years ago to currently, what updates have you made with your technology in your classroom lab space?
Well, we are constantly adding things on, but recently we have been putting some focus on our animal science lab and trying to get that in a little bit better working condition so that we can do more labs and dissections and things in there. And it has come quite a far way. We've been able to, when we had the MSAP grant, we were able to acquire quite a few different tools that we use in the lab for different science labs that work a little bit maybe pricier or things that we can attain easier. And so that was really exciting. We were able to kind of get our lab set up for that, where every student has microscopes and things like that, dissection kits and all of that sort of thing. And then in our barn, we have quite a few different facilities that we're adding on to. So, we have a hydraulic squeeze chute set up where the students can put cattle in, and when we artificially inseminate or when we vaccinate, or if a cow needs to be doctored, that's a place where the students can work on animals but also keep the animals safe and them safe. And we're constantly adding on to that facility as well. And then with our ag mechanics shop, that's something that we just started this year. And we're working on kind of getting a small welding shop set up in a small area for electrical wiring and woodworking and things. And then I'm sure at this point, one of the really exciting things is that we're getting a new school. So they're building us a whole new school, which will include a new shop area and new facilities altogether. And we have great facilities to begin with. So it's kind of exciting to see what that will lead to and what kind of opportunities we'll be able to allow students to have with a new facility.
So Zoe, as a student coming, being in the ag program, what would you say is the most exciting hands-on experience you have had?
Most exciting hands-on experience, that's kind of a hard one because there's a lot. But I would probably say it was just recently. We had 3 baby calves. Unfortunately, one did die, but we had 3 baby calves. And so during my animal science class, we went out there. We made a bottle. We made 2 bottles, and we had to feed the calves ourselves. So it's definitely one of those hands-on experiences that the class went out there and actually fed baby calves. It's not like one of those things you kind of talk about. Like, it's something we actually do, and she's had all of her classes do it too. So it's something, it was pretty cool to see, to do. It's one of those things that could be a once-in-a-lifetime experience, or it could be something that you could grow up, and that's something you almost do on the daily. So it was a pretty cool experience.
So when you're using these industry tools, these are tools that people that actually are working in the real world are using. How does that give you like a sense of pride? How does that make you feel knowing that you're using the same exact tools that those in industry?
So it's a pretty cool feeling when you can say like, hey, there's someone else making money off of this, and I'm learning to do it right now. But it's a pretty cool experience to feel and know that maybe this is something that you are going to do one day. Or maybe someone who also does this, and you're like, hey, I'm walking in this person's shoes for the day. It's just a pretty cool experience.
Okay. So, and also I know that 'cause years of working with you, I know you basically have that presence at the St. Lucie County Fair. So what exactly do you all do at the fair? What's your connection to it?
Going back to the SAEs, one of the opportunities is entrepreneurship. And one of the ways that a student can do an entrepreneurship is by raising their own market animal and then selling it at a fair. Ours is the St. Lucie County Fair, but we also have students who show and sell animals at the South Florida Fair and then the State Fair as well. But at the St. Lucie County Fair, so our students are able to raise beef breeding animals, market steers, market hogs. They can do goats, small animals. We have a very broad fair, so they're able to do quite a bit of different things, which is cool. And this is another example of where students are able to take what they learn in class and apply it in the real world. So now they're starting this entrepreneurship, and while it's only one animal that they're raising, they have to raise it from the time they get it to the time it goes to the fair and gets shown and then sold. And if it gets sick, they have to learn, what's wrong with it. How do I doctor it? And feed if it's not eating correctly. Like, what can I change? What can I do? So there's different things that they are learning in class that they get to learn in the real world. And along with at the fair, students who are showing, we also have our FFA food booth there, which is a lot of hard work, but it's definitely worth it. So at our food booth, we sell a little bit of everything, you know, from chicken tenders to steaks, and then side dishes and drinks, and some snacks. But it is basically our sole income for our program. So that with all these experiences, it costs quite a bit of money to operate, and to feed our animals monthly and all that sort of thing. So, and then, you know, even with FFA, allowing students to go on these trips that we go on throughout the state, throughout the country, it allows it to be a much more affordable price. So we work really hard during that time period, and we're able to fund our program throughout the year, which works out really well. And then along with, you know, it funding our program, students are learning a ton of life skills because they have to volunteer in our food booth. So at the food booth, they're learning, you know, how to work with other people, how to work with customers, customer service skills, how to manage an area, manage money. And so those are more employability skills that they're learning along the way.
Okay, so you talk about employability skills. You're talking about basically creating, not only because we're talking about like sense of pride out of your students, but you also are giving them opportunities to earn basically a high wage, high demand job, right, after high school, or even during high school if they choose to. How are you doing that with industry certifications?
So we offer industry certifications no matter which pathway that the student chooses to follow. And so there are there's three pathways they can get certified in ag mechanics, animal science, a basic ag tech certification, or a vet assisting certification. And those are allowing students to go into the workforce with something to show their employer, like, I have these skills.
Okay, so which certs have you earned and are you working on?
So I've earned 3 certifications over the years. I've earned my agriculture systems, agriculture associates, and agriculture tech. And right this year I'm working towards my animal science certification and also my ag mechanics.
Okay, so as we prepare to close, can you share with us one last time, why is this program important, having these 3 tracks at Fort Pierce Westwood? Why is it important for not only your students, but for our community as well?
So something that I think is super important in every school, but in our community especially, is vocational skills. So no matter what, if these students go directly into a vocational career, they have the skills for the foundation to be successful and to build upon. And then if they decide to go to college, they also have workforce and career and college skills that will help them be successful. And we're hopefully raising and helping create students who are going to be able to be successful in our community.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us today. I'm Lanisha Robinson, and this is Career and Technical Education, #Build a Future. I encourage you to view the St. Lucie Public Schools Career and Technical Education page. In Career and Technical Education, we are merging the post-secondary and career pathway for all of our students. We are building a future and continuing to close the skills gap. On behalf of the station's team, I'd like to thank you for joining us today.